Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Tex, a.k.a. Professor Tex. Before we get started, smash that like button, subscribe to the page, uh, 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 send a friend a link or something like that, and we can go ahead on and get started with this. Give me 1 second. Technical difficulties here. Oh, my goodness. There we go. Yeah. Was glad to be back, man. Season one, I see a season back up in there, man. We got week one is in the books and whatnot and everything. After last night, after that the win of the Minnesota Vikings over the Chicago Bears, a lot of talk this past off season and coming into week one was about all of these particular type of teams that's going to be doing this and that's going to be doing that and that's projected to do this and projected to do that. And we don't know until all these games are basically played as the season goes on because, again, we just finished up week one last night. I found it interesting that with some of these teams, I didn't see any earth-shattering performances per se. I saw a lot of offense and lackluster to no defense and whatnot. I saw teams that were supposed to dominate but scraped by and barely won or had a poor performance. Some of them won, some of them lost and everything. Some things happen that's kind of the same, but it is pretty much what it is. But I didn't see anything that made me think that, so what's going to be different? Again, this is week one. And I've always told you guys since I've been on this platform, I've oftentimes said, I say, hey, man, you holler at me after week 8, going into week 9. That's when you holler at me. You are who you are, I think, by that time. You can make a run. You can be not that very good for the first 5 or 6 weeks in this league and still, especially with the advent of another game, 17 with another game, making the 17 games that they play, you can still mess around and get a wild card spot at 9 and 8 and all this other kind of crap and stuff like that and whatnot. So you'll have that. But I'm gonna go through some of this right here. Like the Dallas and Philadelphia game, that was 24-20. See how that game, everybody was saying that this was getting ready to be a blowout. And I'm like, well, that is a division game, and they are rivals and whatnot. And Dak is 4-1 or something like that against them. I'm like, what are we talking about? And then the incident with the defensive tackle and the spitting, which is completely bush league and ridiculous. I don't understand that, what he did. I think it's Jalen Carr. I think that's what the kid's name is. That went on. Both quarterbacks I thought played lights out and whatnot and everything. Dallas had a chance to win. Unfortunately, the great CeeDee Lamb, he had 4 drops and he had two drops that was like those were game changing. That could have possibly had them win the game. They only lose by 4 points, but Philly was supposed to blow these people out, and that didn't happen. So I don't know where everybody was getting this blowout thing from, but that's football. All these pundits on these other channels are talking that mess and everything. But that we got. That's what happened. Then we had the Kansas City and Los Angeles game. Both Mahomes started off a little slow, lights out and whatnot. A couple of idiotic things I think went on the defense. I think had something to do with Chris Jones. But hey man, the secondary, Kansas City secondary looked that good, and I didn't see much of they didn't have much of a pass rush. And they lost containment quite a few times. Justin Herbert is doing what Justin Herbert has kind of done. He's been a good quarterback. He racks up the numbers and stuff like that. But again, have not, here we go again on this. We can't stamp anything on him until he actually wins a significant game. We know he can put up numbers and whatnot. I mean, he's been doing that since he got in the league in 2020. He put up numbers. They all comparing him to Dan Marino, which is completely, absolutely ridiculous. But some people need that. But, okay, Kansas City lost. Okay, they still had a chance to win, but things didn't, they couldn't get the ball back in Mahomes' hand, and there you go. Then there you go. Carolina and Jacksonville, that's pretty much what it's going to be. This has to be the year for my man there, damn it, I can't never remember that kid's name to save my life. What's his doggone name? What's this joker's name? Trevor Lawrence, old Blondie and whatnot. So it's like he has to come along. They put up some points, and that is against Carolina. Bryce Young didn't play well, but that is what it is. Again, we're in week 1, but we'll see what happens. But Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, he's on the hot seat. New York and Washington, that game right there, it looked like it was a blow-up. Washington didn't play that great. Their defense played lights out because obviously New York Giants' offensive line is garbage. And it's kind of sad. I'm watching at the time of leaving Seattle, a potential first ballot Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson. And I still say he's that because his career is going to be judged by the 10, 11 years that he spent in Seattle, and he was a winner. Went to the playoffs damn near, 9, 10, 11 years in a row. And he went to 2 Super Bowls and won one. And has two NFC championships. But he goes to Denver. What does Denver have? A guy that I talked to or whatever, at one of the ABC stores, he's a big Denver fan. He goes on to say, yeah, that's the piece that we need. I say, you guys hadn't been to the playoffs since 2015. Y'all have way more issues than just not having a quarterback. Y'all have issues. And all this kind of stuff. So Russell Wilson puts himself. Then Sean Payton come there, and Sean Payton don't even want him, and he still played relatively. He played relatively. I think he made it a Pro Bowl or something like that. That means anything, but in this day and time. But he ended up doing that and everything, and ended up having a winning record. But they still got rid of him. And he was to Pittsburgh. Puts up a winning record, they get rid of him there. So he's going in these positions where you got these people that really don't want him there, but he's one of them guys, I'm going to keep giving it a try. And that's part of what I think when people try to make him out to be corny. But it's like, but now he goes to the New York Giants because he still wants to play. But he's not behind anything. He's a veteran, proven quarterback in this league for over a decade, and he's going behind teams that need to rebuild who are just complete trash. And he was running for his life every time he went back there. So they were talking about Jackson Dart. Say, okay, well, Jackson Dart would have probably had problems definitely against that defensive line. But again, nothing that Washington did really stood out. Wasn't all that great. Jaden Daniels had a decent game and stuff like that. But nothing really stood out. And that game pretty much went the way you thought it was going to go. But it's actually a little bit closer if they would have just actually had a few breaks here and there, or guys that could just can he not go back there and be running for his life. Pittsburgh and New York, that was a good game. I actually watched that game at work. Good game. But at the same time, and I've been saying this for years, the days of the Pittsburgh Steelers great defenses, them things are gone, man. Them things are gone. They're gone. I mean, New York looks like they're going to be a team under Aaron Glenn. It's not going to be no give up on them. They're going to fight. They're going to compete. And that's all you can ask for if your team competes. I think he took a piece of what Campbell was doing in Detroit, made those teams compete, that makes the city kind of get behind them, that they're really trying, as opposed to just screw it with the Detroit Lions and we're not going to do that. Screw it with the New York Jets. We're never going to do anything. They compete. And, but man, the quarterback there and whatnot, like I said, he had a good game. But that he can if he gets in the system, which I still don't see why you don't go with him and then you bring in Aaron Rodgers and you act like this man can't play. But who knows? Who knows? I can't even really call it on with Justin Fields. I mean, the kid is an athlete. The kid can play. The kid can run. The kid throws a pretty ball. He's just had these bad situations, but the kid can ball. Arizona and New Orleans, pretty good game and whatnot and stuff like that. Kyler Murray did some of his thing that kind of went the way it kind of think it was going to go. Las Vegas, and that kind of went the way it was going to go with them and everything. Miami, this was kind of a shocker here. Everybody's back to screaming Daniel Dimes. I'm like, well, Indianapolis have a few things here and there, but it's like Miami's in trouble. Miami is in trouble. So Tua's got to get it together. This is getting ready. This is year 5. He has to get it together. He has to get it together. He had a couple of years here and there, 22, 23, fell off to last year and everything, and now here we starting off. I think he threw a couple of picks and everything. He has to get it. He has to definitely get it together. Cincinnati and Cleveland, that was no shocker to me. And they still had a chance, and Cleveland had a chance and then blew that. Joe Burrow barely threw for over 100 yards. But, again, it's week 1, but That was supposed to be a blowout, says everybody else, but it wasn't. And even if we talk about Ohio, those games, no, Cincinnati beat them up pretty good and stuff like that. Nobody's expecting anything from Cleveland. But you see what happens. That's why, like Chris Berman said, that's why they play the game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was a pretty good game right there. Baker Mayfield is one of the more solid quarterbacks in the league. He's a veteran quarterback now. And ran good. Pennis looked pretty good and everything like that. Missed field goal by their kicker. That's them kickers, hey, man. You got to make it. You got one job, homie. You got one job. San Francisco and Seattle. All I'm going to say is that number 27 for Seattle, 2 bad plays that basically cost them the game. They had the game won. He got loses some rookie wide receiver or the second-year wide receiver. He's with him and then loses him. And then the tight end, he goes up and he lets the tight end basically out-battle him for the ball. And all that. So that put him there. So it's like, but San Francisco, that was supposed to be subsequently a blowout. Blowout there, they lose Kittles. A couple of other people I think are banged up and dinged up over there, and whatnot. So, but no blowout. Denver and Tennessee, that kind of went the way you kind of think it was going to be, but Tennessee also had a chance. Bo Nix didn't play good. That offense didn't play good at all. But Tennessee gave them opportunities to sit up there and stick around, and then they hurt themselves with drop balls. I've seen a couple of drop balls on the last drive that Tennessee was trying to get going on, and there you have it. Houston and Los Angeles, 14-9. Houston still had a chance and whatnot, even in that game. Mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Supposedly, I think that was supposed to be a tight game because Houston did both of them teams made the playoffs and whatnot. But, we'll see what happens with that, man. But it's like, 27-13 with go to Detroit and Green Bay, 27-13. Little garbage touchdown at the end and stuff like that. Detroit was supposed to wear their asses out. They lose 27-13. And they got all hands on deck. And good got nothing. Of course, Green Bay got Micah Parsons and everything like that. So, you got to play the game, man. But it's like, and then we get to the to the Baltimore Ravens and the Bills. That game should have been over. Derrick Henry did sit up there and fumble the ball at the most inopportune time. And this is kind of the history of that team when they get into more important games. Even though this is just week 1, but that is a kind of a theme of them when they play in these so-called important games against these squads like this. But what's more disturbing is the fact that not only lose the lead, like what Baltimore teams are built off of defense, starting with the face of the franchise at the time was Ray Lewis. And if they've never had anything. They have one a Hall of Famer on offense, and that's Lyman Johnson Ogden. So we heard Zay Flowers was their first in team's history, their first Pro Bowl wide receiver. So they've always been somewhat inept, but they run the ball pretty good, but they've always been somewhat inept on offense, and the defense carried them, or then they get the balancement when they won with Flacco and whatnot and stuff like that. So that happened, and whatnot. Flacco and then go back to Trent Dilfer and all them guys like that. But it's like giving up 41 points, or letting Allen throw for 251 yards in a quarter. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, and he didn't have, and I think, Buffalo's offensive line is good, especially for pass blocking and stuff like that. Like, dude, it's like, y'all can't survive doing that. And that's not good for either of them teams. Buffalo need to talk to their defense, and Baltimore definitely has to talk to their defense because that's what they're built. That's what that whole franchise has been built upon. And they go out and let these guys do that. I thought the game should have been over, but it was like, no, it was just they kept putting them letting them in the game. No pressure on Josh Allen. Josh Allen could pick his freaking nose and shit and throw the ball downfield. But these are things that are fixable. Like I say, this is week 1. Minnesota and Chicago. A couple of things here and there. J.J. McCartney had his little debut and everything like that, missing all of his rookie year and stuff like that. Looked pretty sharp. Caleb looked pretty good and stuff like that as well. That game should have pretty much been over with. But, Chicago just wasn't penalties and then not giving up pass rushes, missed tackles and different things of that nature and stuff like that. It's like, yo, man, it's like, boom, there it is. That was supposed to possibly be a possible runaway game, but it was a lot closer than everybody thought. So Chicago looked a little bit better and whatnot. But again, last year they lost about 3 or 4 games in the fourth quarter. They lost about 3 or 4 games and whatnot, just not doing what they're supposed to do and being an undisciplined football team, and everything. So, that's my take on that after week 1 and everything, man. Talking about that, not a whole lot going on as far as I'm concerned. The only other thing that's kind of troubling now, because I don't really talk about it, but it's just like, here we go with this whole Tyreek Hill thing. And this cat just doesn't get it. And the type of women that these cats be rolling around with and stuff like that, I'm just like, it just doesn't make any sense. And now this is the start of the season, and he has to go through this after not having 1,000 yards last season and 2 missing games, and they didn't get the playoffs. They sucked last year in the whole 9 yards. After a couple of years, you think they probably pretty much got it all together, and they don't. So I tell you something, man. Brothers these young brothers, man, these young cats got to get their shit together, man. They dealing with the kind of women when they sitting up there letting off in these women, and you know what I mean, letting off in them and getting married to them and, letting off and having all these kids. And you're going to be dealing with all of this drama, dealing with these mothers and stuff, or dealing with these women that you keep dealing with. And the domestic abuse thing, he keep playing around with that shit because he already came in. I think he went to Oklahoma State, if I'm not mistaken. He came in with some shit on him as a rookie when he's coming out of Oklahoma State. I think that's where he went to school at and whatnot. So it's like, yo, man, it's like, and somebody's going to get sick of that. The NFL is going to get sick of that after a while. After a while, that he's going to get sick of that and everything with this cat doing what he's doing. And let me see. Let's see where he went to. Oklahoma State and West Alabama. He had issues back during that particular time there. That brother, I said, bro, you got to get it together, man. You got to get it together. And I think there might be a lot of false allegations because when these women get pissed off and things ain't going their way and stuff like that, they go through all this. They go through all this shit. They're gonna over-exaggerate shit and everything like that. But you don't put yourself in a position where that can happen. Like, why are you putting yourself in a position where those things like that can happen? And he continuously to keep putting himself in those particular positions, making himself vulnerable and doing dumb things, especially if these chicks is running around filming stuff. And then they got the internet, they got all these social media platforms. They go on and spill their beans. These women get on there and say all these things and this, that, and the other. So he need to get his act together and what's his name? The head coach. Hell, he's on the hot seat. Mike McDaniel, he's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat. They might have peaked. I don't know what's going to go on with Tua. But Tua got to get together. This is year 5, dude. I say, you 22, 23, okay, Pro Bowl, this, that, and the other, and all this other kind of stuff. But, bruh, you got to get it together. And then with this concussions and all this other kind of stuff like that, going on, it's like, dude, you definitely got to get it. You definitely got to get it together. So, in 2023, that was like one of his breakout years there. 2022, nice year. Yeah, 2022, 2023, and whatnot. Those 2 years there, and they I think those 2 years they went to the and the 1 year went to the Pro Bowl. I think they went to the playoffs. Both of those years, he started. It was improvement from 2021 and whatnot. They go 7-5, then 8-5, and then 11-6, and here we go. And then last year laid the egg, hurt, missed games, not very consistent, and here we starting this off now. It's just like, hey man, it's supposed to be some beef with him and Tyreek Hill, so them guys got to get it together, man. But McDaniel. Well, he's on the clock, brother. He's on the clock. He's on the clock. Whether he wants to admit it or not, he's on the clock, man, and whatnot. Because it's like, nothing going on. And Tua might be quiet as kept. It's on the clock. So, that's how that goes. But, man, I just wanted to come back. It's been a while. I told you I don't come on there talking that mess with all that other crap and stuff. We talk strictly football here and whatnot. But that was it. Kind of a lackluster week. Had a couple of good games and whatnot. Like I said, talking about, dealing with that of the Jets and Steelers, and even Baltimore and that of Buffalo Bills. But nobody is the clear winner, or is like somebody is separated themselves from everybody by week one, or it's supposed to be all of these blowouts. I'm like, nah. It was some mediocre football played, the same kind of football that's pretty much played every week one, week two, but a lot of flags, a lot of dumb penalties, and a lot of stupid things that went on and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. I'll probably come through tomorrow, man, and drop some gems on who I'm gonna pick and stuff like that, man, and whatnot and all that. Hey, man, like I said, man, like I tell you guys all the time, there is no GOAT, no greatest of all time, as long as time is still going on. And like I tell you guys all the time, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. You guys have a good one.